If you're being offended, it's not our intention to offend you. However, we must speak the truth in love. We cannot be politically correct. Here are some other teachings from Muhammad that to a non-Muslim is even more proof that these statements cannot come from an all-knowing God. I mean, it doesn't make sense, and to us it seems quite irrational. And I'll give you some examples. In Sahih Bukhari, number 3323, it says that Allah's messenger ordered that dogs should be killed. Why? Why should dogs be killed? But this is a command from Allah's messenger. This is why you'll note that those who truly follow Islam and believe Muhammad don't have dogs. Why don't they have dogs? Because of statements such as the following that is recorded in the most authentic collection of narrations attributed to Muhammad. Sahih Bukhari, number 3295. This is quite interesting, and I want to elaborate on this a little more because I want to contrast the Islamic view of Satan from the Christian one. Even though the Quran mentions Satan and says that he's accursed and an enemy to mankind, the Satan of the Quran is not the Satan mentioned and described in the Bible. In fact, if you examine what the Quran says about Satan and what the Bible says about Satan, these are two different entities. And I believe the reason why is because the Satan of the Quran is a counterfeit to deceive Muslims into thinking that the Quran is attacking the real McCoy, the real devil. However, by counterfeiting a fake Satan, the enemy of our souls, the devil, keeps Muslims deceived into thinking that Islam is against the devil. Now, you'll see what I mean when I quote this, and then I comment on some of the differences. Here's what it says. The Prophet said, and by the way, this is Sahih Bukhari, number 3295. The Prophet said, if any one of you rouses from sleep, you wake up from sleeping, and performs the ablution, wudu, for your prayer, morning prayer, he should wash his nose by putting water in it, put water in it, and then blowing it out thrice, 3 times, sniffing water and snorting it out. Here's the reason. This comes from Muhammad. Here's the reason. Muslims, you're wondering, why do we do this? Well, you know it's a command from Muhammad, but why did he give this command? He gives you the reason. Because Satan has stayed in the upper part of his nose all night. Did you catch the explanation? The reason why you snort water in and out of your nose 3 times is because Satan has lodged in your nose and you need to flush him out. But my question to you is twofold. I have 2 questions. How can water, a material substance, flush out a spiritual being? That's number 1. Again, let me repeat it. How can water flush out a spiritual being? Number 2, is Satan omnipresent in that he stays in everyone's nose, upper part? Because again, this is a rule for all Muslims to do, which assumes that Satan is in everyone's nose. The only way Satan can be in everyone's nose is if Satan is omnipresent. But according to Christian theology, and I think many Muslims would agree, only God has the quality of being omnipresent. Obviously, God is not a physical being, so I'm not saying He's physically present everywhere. But Muslims, these are some of the objections, some of the questions that lead us to reject Muhammad and convinces us that these statements are not revelation, they're not wahi. They do not come down from an all-knowing God, but from Muhammad's imagination, from some of the superstitious practices and teachings that he grew up with, that he was influenced by. Let's look at another one. Sahih Bukhari, number 1144. And this will be, there's a lot more, but for the sake of time, we'll look at this example and we'll move on to other areas. Sahih Bukhari, 1144. May the Lord bless our mouths to speak clearly. A man was mentioned before the Prophet, and he was told that he kept on sleeping till morning and did not get up for prayer. He overslept. Here's Muhammad's response. The Prophet said, Satan urinated in his ears. So not only can you flush Satan out with water, but Satan actually can urinate in people's ears. In other words, the reason why this man did not wake up in time for prayer is because Satan urinated in his ears, preventing him from hearing the call to prayer. Now again, in order for Satan to be able to urinate in people's ears, in order for Satan to be affected by material substance such as water, this assumes that Satan himself must be a physical being. In fact, if you go to Surah 18:50 of the Quran, chapter 18, verse 50 of the Quran, it says to the Muslims, be careful of Satan and his offspring, his descendants. Some of the expositors believe that Satan actually procreates children. In fact, Muslims should know this. In chapter 18, verse 50, Satan is said to be a jinn. And for those of the audience who don't know what a jinn is a genie. In Islamic theology, genies are real beings, and Satan was a genie. Islamic theology teaches that genies actually have sexual intercourse and procreate, which again assumes that they are material bodies that have material organs, procreative organs, right? So Satan can urinate in your ears, you can flush him out of your nose, and another teaching that's found in both Bukhari and Muslim says that when Satan hears the call to prayer, he passes gas, he blows wind, he farts, and takes off running. So Satan can urinate, he can pass gas, right? He can procreate, he has children, and he can be flushed out of your nose with a material substance. This depiction of Satan has nothing in common with what the Bible teaches about Satan. Right? And these are some of many teachings from the Hadith that to us clearly prove that these teachings cannot come from an all-knowing God. It must come from the superstitious practices and beliefs that Muhammad grew up with. Right? And we can give other examples a little later, but I think that demonstrates that as far as the revelations are concerned, Muhammad's revelations, there's definite proof that many of his revelations came from his own understanding, his human imagination, and interaction with people around him.
Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of Muslims out there that want to accuse you of misinterpreting the Quran, misinterpreting Muhammad's teachings. So in that case, if you are a Muslim, and if you feel that they have twisted the teachings of the Quran, why don't you call? Share your opinion. 248-416-1300. Let us know what you think. Prove them wrong. Present the facts. And with that, we'll take the next call. It's an anonymous caller. You are on the air with ABN. Go ahead when you're ready. You're on the air with ABN. Go ahead when you're ready with your question.
Okay, God bless all of you. Actually, I'm so proud of these programs. And I have just one thing, please. This program has to be displayed in the Christian American satellite. Why? The American people has no access to watch the ABN. Believe me. We need, your message is very important to American people in the whole nation. Please try to find some way with the owner of the ABN to give these gifts to the Christian satellite, because the Christian satellite or Christian channel broadcasting, the whole America watching these channels, but they have no access to watch the ABN. That is my first thing, because the all Arab people only watch you. And your message is very important to the American people, as we discussed yesterday, that the American people has misled by the Muslims about how Islam is. First point. Second point, Quran stated in his chapters that the Maryam or Mary, it is a daughter of Imran.
Oh, yes, yes.
That is the big evidence that Muhammad is the biggest lie ever. The Muhammad he has never read the Bible. Muhammad was being told that Mary was a daughter of Imran. Who is the Imran? Who is the Imran? That is the question. No Muslim asked himself, who is the Imran? If the Bible did not mention the Imran was the father of the Mary, Saint Virgin Mary. Okay?
Thank you, brother. Yes. Thank you, brother, for your question. We're going to hang up, and then Brother David is going to address your question. Go ahead when you're ready.
Yes, the passage he brought up actually fits in perfectly with the point we were just discussing, namely that Muhammad seemed to be getting these revelations from his own mind and from the people around him. How do we know this? Well, the problem he was pointing out is that the Quran refers to Mary, the mother of Jesus, as the sister of Aaron and as the daughter of Imran. Now, Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not the sister of Aaron, and she wasn't the daughter of Imran. Who was, according to the Bible, who was the sister of Aaron and the daughter of Imran? Well, there was a Miriam who was in that position, namely the sister of Moses and Aaron, the daughter of Imran. So Muhammad hears Christians referring to Miriam, and he hears Christians referring to Miriam, the sister of Aaron, and Miriam, the daughter of Imran, and he thinks they're the same person, even though they lived 14 centuries apart.